I'm Waji, and you're watching the Top Loader. You're watching Spacies.
Spacies.
G'day invaders and welcome to Spacies, and this is the state of the channel video for the month of October. This is a video that I like to do once a month just to do a bit of housekeeping, essentially give you guys a bit of an update on what's happening on the channel. We look back on what's happened on Spacies in September and what's coming up in October, the month ahead. We're going to get stuck right into this though. We're going to look at the top 5 videos for the month of September, and this is in watch time. This is watch minutes, not views. So number 5, we've got the very first episode of the Spacies spin. This is a new concept that I like to that I wanted to get my teeth stuck into. I'll be honest, I've seen a few other YouTubers do this style of video, and I thought I want to try and have a shot at this myself because I enjoy watching those videos myself. So this one was the very first Spacies spin, and it was the first time that I used a green screen in this manner for my channel. And the one of the first topics I introduced was how Sega are forgetting their past and referring to their characters by the incorrect names. Yeah, that's a thing that happened. So that's the number 5 video for the month of September. Number 4 was the very first time that a stream has made it into the top 5, and this is the Sega Mega Drive Mini. This was me recording the tiers video. When I say tiers, I mean I was rating all the games in brackets and putting them from rating from S rating down to F for fail. So that was a lot of fun to put together, and I'm glad that that video made it into the top 5. We've also then got another Spacies spin video in the number 3 slot. This was me talking about how Nintendo, I thought, were a little bit rude to the people that lined up for the midnight launch, and they said that the first 200 people will get a chance to buy a bit of memorabilia instead of just giving it to them. You know, I just thought that was a little bit mean of Nintendo not to give away that map. And all it was is just a map, something that you'd find for free in some other places, like theme parks. Theme parks don't even charge you for a map. Not that I'm aware of, no. So, Nintendo, come on, lift your game. Number 2 was me going through all these games on the Sega Mega Drive Mini. This was a special video that I did with quite a few people watching live, and that was being streamed across YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and also on Mixer. And I had a lot of fun putting this together. So again, it was just me going over all 42 games and ranking them from F for fail right up to S for supersonic special. And the number 1 video for the month of September was the Spacies show episode number 11, starring JT Smash. Also their G to the Next Level, Retro Kaiser. We've also got the Top Loader and Jaws. So that was quite a big Spacies episode, that one, Spacies show episode, because having more than 3 people on one of those shows can be a bit of a handful. So that was the top 5 videos for the month of September. Coming up in October, well, actually in about 5 days time for me, today filming this, recording this, it's Monday. We've got a public holiday here today in New South Wales, and this Friday I will be flying down to Melbourne, and I will be meeting up with the other Sega Masters, and we're going to be doing a PAX panel at PAX Australia 2019. I tell you, this is going to be epic. Now, just a bit of an update with it. I first thought it was going to be in front of a crowd of 5,000, but I found out since that they've split up the theatres. So it would have been a crowd of 5,000 if the theatres were left the way they were last year, but they've now, instead of splitting it up into 2, they split it up into 3 lots. So I think the audience will be a crowd of 1,500. So it's getting smaller. It's getting bigger and then the smaller. But no, it's still going to be an awesome event. Which means that if you are attending PAX this Friday, this Saturday will be at the EB Games Theatre. There are only 1,500 seats, so probably a little more important that you make sure you get to catch that and don't miss it. I don't know if we'll fill up the 1,500. It would be great if we do, but we're hoping to put on a interesting show for you guys and a look back at what it was like to work on the Sega Hotline back in the 90s. And I just think it's going to be a bit of an eye-opener for gamers that, you know, probably had their first console was a PlayStation 2, you know, so we're talking internet era. We're going further, way back. So that's coming up. Also, in the next video that I'm going to be recording straight after this, my next episode of the Spacies Spin, I will be announcing the winner of the AK racing competition that I had. I'll be honest, I didn't get a lot of entries. So, guys, if I'm hosting a competition, you might want to enter because the odds of winning are very, very good. I only got a handful of entries, and so that made it easy for those people to have a good chance of winning. So, yeah, keep an eye out on the channel. I will be always keeping my options open for any competitions that I can host here on the channel. And also, in relation to videos coming up on the Synth Spacies channel, I found a way of getting a few things made a little bit better. So the quality of the video will improve. Not these videos are just using a basic webcam, but any video from now on where I'm using my my handy cam, if you want to use an older term, that camera now, I've managed to work out a way of making the footage look a little sharper, so there's an improvement there. Plus I've got some new editing software, so hoping that comes across with improvements on the channel. Always looking for ways to improve what we're doing here. Also, guys, if you haven't watched it, episode number 12 of the Synth Spacies show is now live, and that was actually quite a fun video to put together, and that was with the top loader once again, Uncle Chunt once again, and we also had the Bit War veterans with Miao T Ching and Max Infantry. Guys, you should watch that video. It does go on for quite a bit. It was originally a 2-hour video. I cut it down to 1.5 hours. I'm gonna start using a timer or something because yeah, those videos are so much fun to put together that we lose track of time. So I promise that since Spacies shows from now on, I'll try to keep them to an hour because it can get a bit long, I understand. And don't forget with the Synth Spacies show to send in your questions. We only got 4 questions, and one of them was by far the best question we've had since I've been doing the podcast. Yes, Another Bloody Gaming podcast and the Synth Spacies show. And that question got us talking quite a bit, so I would really encourage you guys to don't be afraid of getting in front of the camera. It doesn't take much to just record 1 minute and do it in landscape, and all the good questions I should say will have a good chance of getting on the channel. And if I do have an overflow of videos sent in, so if I ever do get more than 10, I will move them forward to future episodes. So if you send in a video and you don't get in on the next episode of the Synth Spacies show, don't get too disappointed. You may appear in another future episode instead. So that's the Synth Spacies show rant out of the way. Upcoming videos, well, I've got the next episode of Spacies Spin coming up. We've also got October pickups. I'm going to do a pickups video. I've got a ton of stuff that I've got to get through, a lot of big juicy hardware stuff, so I'm hoping I can get through that in about 10 minutes or so. I don't want that video to go too much longer. Obviously, I'll be doing a video on PAX and my experience with being at PAX for the first time. I have been to EB Games in the past, and EB Games Expo here in Sydney. That's no longer a thing anymore. They amalgamated the EB Games Expo and PAX to turn it into one event. Not really happy with that. Being a Sydney-sider, I feel we deserve being in the biggest city in Australia. I feel we deserve a gaming expo. I don't understand why there isn't room for such an event. I've even heard people kicking the idea around of just having a Scout Hall type event where people just meet up, bringing it back to old school, because that's how we used to do it in the 80s. We used to meet up in Scout Halls. The Sydney Sega Users Group was the name of that one back in the 80s, and we would just set up our TVs and show the games off, and it was just a good way to spend a day out chatting about video games. I would like to see maybe something like that start up in Sydney again. I don't know what the logistics of that would be to set something up, but if anyone is interested in Sydney to set up a gaming meetup. So yeah, if you're interested in setting up a gaming meetup in Sydney, send me a line. We'll see what we can get started. I don't really need all the glitz and glamour of a expo or a major convention. We could just have this as a local meetup. I reckon there's potential in this. So if you're in Sydney, drop us a line and maybe we'll see what we can do to get something started, mate, and create our own little convention, our own little event. So anyway, that's for future. Also, with my Gaming Since Spacies series that's been stuck in limbo for a year, I have got the episode half edited. There is a lot to put those videos together. That is definitely coming. I just need to finish that edit off, and then we will see another episode of Gaming Since Spacies. So that's been a quick look at September and what's coming up on the channel in October. Don't forget that I do Twitch live Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And that's obviously Sydney Daylight Savings Time. Give me a follow over on Instagram if you also on Instagram. I just saw then an update show me that I'm on 393 followers on Instagram. I'd like to get to 500. Facebook, don't forget, Facebook's a thing. I'm trying to get to 500 followers there. I'm on 159 at the moment. Want to see that get belted up. And follow me on Twitch, of course. I am obviously trying to get to 500 followers there as well. You know, it's good to get all the success over on Twitter. I'm up to 6,600 or something followers there. But I would like to see my other platforms pick up a little bit too as well, so I can keep an eye on posting on those platforms as well moving forward. I think I am rambling. I'm going to leave it at that. My name has been Brian, and I've been gaming since Spacies. Thanks, guys.
Since Spacies.